By this point, I think you have found out that this version is also wrong, and the failure test case is again on 2, because when the input is 2, this code will print 2 lines. The first line is no, the second line is yes. So if you try to execute this code mentally, it should be obvious that's what the code is going to do, because well, I guess I take that back. It's actually not quite obvious, because this is a case where the syntax is slightly different from what we have covered. So this actually has 2 different if statements. So the first statement says if w is 2, then we will print no, but there's no else branch. So that is also allowed. So we can write if statement where the else branch is empty. So then in this statement, we will print out 2 when the input is, we will print out no when the input is 2. Then we have another statement which we will check. If it's even, we print out yes. So when w is 2, we will first print out no here, and then we will again print out yes here. So that's 2 lines. That's not what we expected. So what we want to be able to do is to say this part, this statement, this second statement, we execute it only when the first one is not true. So in some sense, this whole second part should belong to a else branch. So for example, I guess one way to fix it is to put the whole thing under else branch. So in fact, this is something that would be correct. Yeah, something like this will be correct. So we have if part, and if w is 2, we will print no. Otherwise, we will print out this. Because these else then if occurs quite common, so there's actually a special syntax for that. So the if statement, you can have this what we read this as else if branch. It's shortened as el if, but it basically means else if. And I think some language actually use else if. So this is a general format for the if statement. So there has to be if followed by a condition, followed by a colon, and then there's a if branch of statements, 1 or more lines indented. And then there can be 0 or 1 or more of this else if branch where there's a condition, colon, followed by the statement. And finally, there can be an else branch, but this else branch can also be missing. So this else part occurs 0 or 1 time. So that covers all possible if statement. And using this, we can specify, we can write this code in fact, actually in many different ways. So here I gave 2 ways. So the essence is we want to handle 3 cases. So the number is odd, which will output no. The number is 2, will output no. And when the number is even and greater than equal to 4. So there are these 3 cases. So then here we have 2 different versions handling that. And I want you to judge are the 2 versions correct, and then try them. And I want to emphasize here, this actually has a compound statement in the sense that this if statement included in the if branch is another if statement, and this has actually multiple lines. We mentioned earlier. This is okay. So this highlighted part is a if statement, but it belongs to the if branch of the outer if statement. So to recap, for problem 2, we covered the mod operator, the comparison operators, and string literals, and also most importantly if statement. And we showed how to submit code on Codeforces, which you will be doing many times, and also find the test case that result in errors when Codeforce tell you your problem failed on some test case. And also there's this programming idiom, which is checking whether one integer is multiple of another. So now we know how to do that. So at this point, you should AC this problem. And my suggestion is once you AC the problem, then wait until a later day, just try to write the code again and try to AC it. So because the first time maybe you are following the slide, you are more or less copying the code. So make sure you are able to independently write the code and pass all the test cases.